again, and welcome to Great Tree Zen Women's Temple and our Saturday morning talks. This morning we have Paige Gilchrist, and she's an old friend of Great Tree. And first we would like to have Teijo do the opening sutra.
An unsurpassed, penetrating, and perfect Dharma is rarely met with even in 100,000 million kalpas. Having it to see and listen to, remember and accept, I vow to taste the truth of the Tathagata's teaching.
And now a brief Dana statement.
In Buddhism, when practitioners share their understanding of the teachings and practice, it is offered freely as a practice of dana paramita. Dana is a Pali word that means generosity or to give freely, and this practice is done without expectation of getting something in return. This is the spirit of speaking about the Dharma. Other ways to practice dana are to offer support to those who share the teachings, to support places of spiritual practice, and to give without judgment or expectation when opportunities arise. Those who share the teachings at Great Tree do so on a dana basis. So please support their practice by giving what you can. And I'll put a link into the chat where you can offer dana online, and then as well as a physical address if you'd like to send dana in.
And now a brief introduction to Paige. Paige is a longtime student of Reverend Munnich and member of the Great Tree family. Paige has been practicing yoga and meditation for more than 25 years. She completed her yoga teaching training at Asheville Yoga Center, along with advanced certification in yoga therapeutics. She teaches public classes and private groups, leads workshops and retreats, and has long been involved in sharing yoga with those who are incarcerated. Paige is a lead teacher in Asheville Yoga Center's 200-hour teacher training program and a regular teacher of the Insight Timer meditation app, and produces a long-running podcast, Embodied Meditation. Free audio practices feature gentle yoga sequences, guided relaxations, and meditations. Welcome, Paige.
Thank you, Lorna. Thank you, Teijo. Thank you all for being here. It's great to see familiar faces and a few new faces and names. Let's see. I always like to say at the beginning that I hope you got the memo that this is, in fact, not a talk. This is experiential. What Teijo and I have concocted, I'm so honored to be a part of it, are some seasonal times when I get to be with you and offer a more embodied kind of practice, a way to maybe support your body and all the sitting that it does, and then all of the regular life it does, and also a way to attune ourselves with what's happening cyclically in the seasons around us. So we'll move a little bit, we'll breathe a little bit this morning. Everything is completely optional. You can do that from a seated position. You could be in a chair, you could be on your meditation cushion on the floor. If you have space, you could spread out a blanket or a yoga mat and maybe gather in some other blankets to do a little bit more movement, but I'll offer options for however you would like to experience this. Just sitting and taking it in would be fine as well. Any questions about that before we get started? Anything I could answer about thrusting movement on you this Saturday morning? Okay. And I thought before we got started, it might just be interesting, since we're all embraced here by the symbol of a great tree, to let our imaginations travel there for just a moment. So you could close your eyes, or you could just soften your gaze and just imagine yourself in that being of a tree. Maybe allow it to be not an evergreen tree, but something like a maple or an oak birch or an aspen, some deciduous tree. Imagine yourself briefly taking on that form. And then allow yourself to attune to the quality of this tree right at this time of year in our Northern Hemisphere. We're almost to our darkest point. Our weather has shifted. What are some of the qualities of this tree that you're inhabiting or taking the shape of? Maybe what's the energy like? What is your activity like? What are you cultivating right now, maybe? And to do that, what are you perhaps releasing or letting go of? How are you in this world right now? And you could release an exhale. And if your eyes have been closed, you could blink them open. And did anything come up for anybody? What qualities or activities? You could either, I think we're a small enough group, you could unmute and offer something, or you could type something in the chat if you would like. Maybe you'd just like to hold it for yourself. That's fine too.
I had a feeling of standing in the sun and waiting for the next windstorm. Just waiting.
Kind of bracing a little bit almost for what might be next, but waiting. Nice. And Teijo typed in deep quiet. I love both of those responses because, in fact, that's what, of course, the actual trees are doing. They're sort of hoping for the sun to return. It's about at its lowest point. It's going to, on what, Wednesday, appear to just be still at that lowest point in the sky. Solstice, that's the stis part of the solstice, that stillness. And of course, what the trees are doing right now is attuning to that time of deep quiet. Kind of, we've let some things fall away, literally, our leaves. We've kind of gathered energy in and even moved it downward, kind of down into the roots. We're conserving energy so that we have the energy to sustain ourselves through this season. And so, as human beings, as parts of that natural world, that's what we're inclined to do too at this time of year. And if we're lucky, we're tapping into a little bit of that. Teijo and I were just talking before we got started about all of the nutcracker activity happening in various lives. And so there's a lot of that happening in the human world too at this time of year, kind of in an effort to honor light and connection. We sometimes have ratcheted that up quite a bit, right? And there's all kinds of things going on in that deep quiet and that just waiting energy is a little bit harder for some of us in some of our lives to access. So, what I'd like to offer us this morning in the form of some movement and some breathing is kind of a full bodied ritual that will allow us to draw our energy in, move our energy down, and tap into some of that deep quiet. So, we'll begin with some movement. And then we'll finish just with a guided, full body relaxation that lets us just simmer in that place a little bit. So, as I said, you can have some things around you to support you, your cushion, some blankets. You can be in a chair. You can be sitting on the floor, whatever's comfortable to you. We've established that I can play music, so I'll start a little bit of music. If it ever gets too loud or so soft that it's just irritating, feel free to type in the chat and let me know that. And just arrive in your seat. You might, as Teijo often guides us, you might rock a little bit side to side or forward and back just to feel yourself settle. Again, you could be cross-legged, you could be sitting in a chair with your feet on the earth. And then when you feel ready to naturally arrive at that place of stillness, that place of just poised and waiting, you can let your body land there. And it might be nice as we settle in together and draw our energy in together to gather our breath together. You could exhale all of your breath, just let it empty out. And as you feel ready to inhale, you might explore inhaling just through your nose, letting that breath take some time to stretch into your whole body. And then maybe open your mouth and release your breath like a gentle sigh to see what falls away. Open mouth sighing, release. Let's try that twice more. As you feel ready to inhale, just a slow, lingering inhale of breath. And as you feel ready to exhale, an open-mouthed sigh, you might see what releases naturally, what falls away. Maybe one more like that. Slow, easy, a meandering inhale, filling your entire physical form. And then an open-mouthed sigh of an exhale. And then if you'd like from there, see about dropping your chin down towards your chest, towards your heart, like you're bowing your head in towards your body. And maybe let one ear from there roll over toward its shoulder. As you make your way there, you could tip your chin up, you could rock your jaw a little bit side to side. And from there, as you feel ready, you could drop your chin back toward your chest, let your other ear drift its way over toward your shoulder again. You might tip your chin up. You might rock your jaw a little bit. Let yourself move through that little half neck roll one more time if you'd like each side. Just kind of nice and slow, almost like a physical ritual of beginning to move energy out of your brain and down into the physical form of your body, into the structure of your trunk. Maybe beginning to seep all the way down into your roots. And the next time your chin drops down toward your heart, you can pause there. You might feel some sensation with your head bowed in from your tail, from the very base of your spine, all the way up your back, all the way up through your neck, all the way up into the back of your skull. And then when you feel ready to float your face back to upright, you could do that and inhale and maybe even scoop your shoulders forward and way up to your ears. You could give them a little extra squeeze there. Maybe another of those sighs as you roll your shoulders around and back and down. A couple more like that. Inhale, scooping your shoulders forward and up. And maybe a little bit of a sigh as you exhale, rolling your shoulders around, back and down. Once more like that if you'd like. Again, we're just further moving energy deep into the body. Let your shoulders land again. Just let your body take that in. And then you could tiptoe one hand off to the side. It could be on the ground, it could be propped up, it could be on the seat of your chair. Let your other arm stretch up toward the sky. Maybe your body inhales as you do that. You might swirl the wrist of that elevated arm around a few times, seeing what's in the extremities of those roots of your wrists, your hands, your fingers. You could swirl it around the other way. And then let the hip on that side of your body, the side of your raised arm, sink down a little bit more. Seep in another inhale here. And as you exhale, let that arm maybe stretch up and over, like a little bit of a side body stretch. The arm that's supporting you might be bent at the elbow. That shoulder that's supporting you can be soft. And just take a couple of breaths here. You can be still, or you could maybe pivot yourself forward and back a little bit. You're just kind of opening up space that may have been feeling a little bit congested, a little bit sticky in between your ribs, so that we can start to bring breath and awareness a little bit more deeply into the body. Give yourself one more breath here. And then as you're ready, you can come all the way back up. You can take your time to do that. You can use that hand on the earth to support you in doing that. And exhale, let the arm that's been lifted rest back down. You might just pause here. Maybe the backs of your hands rest on your legs and your palms face up. And you get to take in the nuances of maybe some difference in the two halves of your body already. Some sensation of energy and awareness moving down into the trunk of the body a little more fully. We'll do that on the other side. So the other hand can kind of tiptoe its way off to the side, opposite arm can stretch up toward the sky. You might swirl that wrist around a little bit. Sometimes if you do that really slowly, that swirling action kind of trickles down the whole stem of the arm like it's a limb, just resting back to where it started. You could swirl that arm and hand and wrist and fingers around the other way. And then when that movement is ready to be still, you could sip in another big inhale here and then exhale. That top arm can, as much as it would like, stretch up and over. You're not really reaching for anything. Remember, the activity at this time of year is quieting, relaxing energy. So you can just sink the hip down of the arm lifted side. You can bend the elbow of your supporting arm. Soften your shoulder and just let your breath start to piece its way into your side ribs, your back ribs, the full trunk of your body. One more breath here. And then when you feel ready to inhale, pressing into that supporting hand, lifting up, letting that arm float its way down. Take a moment again. Maybe the backs of your hands rest, maybe your palms face up. And just notice, there's no right or wrong. Just notice if some of your energy is now settling a little bit more into your rib cage, your torso, your trunk. See if we can Wrap around that energy a little bit. When you inhale next, if you like, you could stretch both of your arms way up toward the sky, like you're waiting for that sun for just a moment. And then as you exhale, just a slow, easy twist. Your arms can float down. They can gently anchor on your legs and behind you, letting yourself twist your way in one direction. Maybe your head even wraps toward your back shoulder. So you take that little twisting sensation all the way up into the stem of your neck. And then when you feel ready to inhale next, you can unwrap that, bring yourself back through center. Maybe the limbs of your arms float back up toward the sunshine. And as you exhale, just a gentle little twist the opposite way. Take a breath or two here to let your body absorb it. You might bring your gaze toward that back shoulder. And now we'll move a little bit rhythmically like that. So as you inhale back through center, both of your arms can float up. And as you exhale, kind of a slow moving twist. You're really taking your time. And when you feel ready to inhale back through center, you don't have to be keeping pace with me. I'm just giving you a little bit of a quality to move along with. And when you feel ready to exhale, that wrapping around your center to the other side. Maybe try that one more time, each side again, like a little bit of a full-bodied incantation, beginning to coax the energy down and in. And then again, no rush, just the next time you naturally make your way all the way back through center. You can let your arms stretch up if you'd like. And as you exhale, almost like you're pressing energy down, you can press your hands down right in front of your body and moving that energy a little bit further down and in. You could try that twice more. Inhale, stretching arms up when you're ready. And as you exhale, almost like you're pressing into the air, either in front of or beside your body, physically drawing yourself down and in. So one more time like that. And then again, simply pause. And we're going to continue to be in this seated shape for a while. I know some of you are professional sitters, but if you feel like you want to stretch out your legs for a little bit of a break, if they've been crossed, you could stretch out your legs. You could even swirl all the way into the tap roots of your feet and swirl your ankles around a little bit, kind of just opening up the backs of your legs. And then when you're ready, when you feel like you've just given yourself that little bit of a break, you might cross your legs the other way if that would feel nice. If you're sitting in a chair, of course, you just come back to your feet nice and planted on your chair or on the floor. And then when you feel ready, we're going to inhale and kind of lengthen through the spine so much that maybe you arch like a little upright. In yoga, we call it a cow stretch. You might even squeeze your elbows together behind you. And then when you feel ready to exhale, you can reverse that around through your low back, through your middle back, through your upper back. Your head bows in again. Start to move like that. As you inhale, you might slide your hands all the way up to where your thigh bones settle into their hip sockets. And as you exhale and round and bow in, your hands could slide all the way down towards your knees and just back and forth like that a few times. Again, really the objective here is simply to move along the cadence of your breath and to let every bit of this be a drawing in and down, a movement toward that deep quiet, that still waiting. And then the the next time you bring yourself back through upright, again, no rush. You can make your way there. And then from here, we'll start to hinge at our hips and just see about a little tiptoeing forward. So your hands could be on the ground. You could also pull in blankets, or if you've got some pillows or anything like that nearby, you could pull something in front of you if that would make you feel a little bit more comfortable. And there's no pressure to go any amount. You just kind of ease your way forward as much as you'd like. You might even, as you make your way there, start to let your body naturally sway a little bit, like that little bit of wind that Lorna mentioned. So maybe just a little bit of a rock. And when and if that rocking action naturally wants to be still, you can just pause here. Maybe find a way that you could rest your hands or your elbows so that there's very little effort involved in this dipping in and down and forward. And this architecture of this shape now moving some of that awareness, some of your physical energy, even your breath, down into your belly, down into your low back, down into the whole complex of your hips. See if wherever you are, if maybe your head can go heavy, almost like it's a pendulum. It might even drift its way side to side a time or so. For maybe another breath or so here, if you'd like, you could climb your arms and hands up and over to the right, maybe just a little bit. Maybe your body wants to explore that quite a bit. So as you do that, it could even be that your left hand or left arm stretches a little bit farther in that direction, and you really imagine your left hip sinking back. So now breath and awareness can soak all the way into your deep low back, your side waist, back of your hip. Maybe one more breath right there if you'd like. And then if you tiptoed your arms and hands up and over to the right, you can come back through center. Kind of let yourself just find that middle place again for a breath. And then up and over the other direction, as much as you'd like or as little as you'd like. Your right arm and hand might even, just with very little effort, stretch itself long, and you might sink your right hip back, right side waist and deep low back, right outer hip. Maybe one more full-bodied breath, energy moving down and in here. And then if you walked your arms and hands up and over, you can slowly make your way back through center again. You might, once you get there, feel an inhale as if it could stretch up the entire shape of your back body, just kind of spreading into your back. And maybe another of those open mouth sighs, releasing your breath. Nice and easy, climb your way back up. Take your time, maybe even leave a little bit of that downward moving energy kind of planted there, even as you make your way up. Let's see if we can kind of move down into the roots of the legs and the feet a little bit more. So if you'd like, if you're on the ground or willing to be on the ground, you could make your way over to hands and knees. And I'll show this on hands and knees on the ground. And then if you prefer to just sit in a chair or sit on your cushion for this, I'll show you a little bit of an option. But from your hands and knees, what we'll do is just step the right foot forward. So you can make your way into a lunge-like shape. So I just step that foot forward. If you want to bring the floor a little bit closer to you, you could have your meditation cushion there for your hands, if that would feel supportive. You can walk your right foot over to the right a little bit, and we'll move through a little lunge flow here. So as you inhale, you might find your hips sinking forward a little bit. And as you exhale, as your hips move up and back, you could straighten that front leg. You might even peel the toes back a little bit. Back and forth like that if you're on the earth. Inhaling forward and exhaling back. And I'll pull over a chair and just show a version of this in a chair if you're sitting and would prefer that. So in a chair, you could just give yourself a little sideways spin. You've still got your right foot forward like everybody else, and you could just inhale and stretch your left arm up. And exhale and let your left arm come back down. So those of you who are lunging on the floor, if you wanted to use either just the left arm or both arms, you could add your arms as you inhale forward and bring them back down as you exhale back. So it's just kind of coaxing energy way down into the deep roots of the body. And maybe we'll pulse through that another time or so. And then it might feel nice the next time those of you on the ground, straighten that front leg and pull the toes back, just to pause there, kind of feel that opening in the sole of the foot, the heel, the back of the leg. If you're sitting in a chair, you can just stretch that right leg forward, and you might even swirl the right toes around a little bit, that right ankle, kind of threading up through the calf, the foot. And you could swirl everything around the other way a couple times. And then when that swirling action in that front right ankle gets still, if it's been moving, you could lunge back in one more time. You could walk your left hand over to the left and put your right hand on your thigh. Just give yourself a little twist here. You could also do that in the chair. You could just reach around and grab the back of your chair and let yourself twist in. Maybe your head and your neck roll. That right arm could stretch up or wrap behind you, or it could just stay planted on your leg. Whatever lets you coax the energy down and in. And when you feel ready to piece your way out of this, your hands can come back to the ground. You can nice and slow and easy step that front knee back to meet your back knee, or just come to sitting neutral again in your chair. It might feel nice to bring your knees and your thighs together and rock your hips a little bit side to side. And then we'll do that on the other side. So just nice and slow and easy, step your left foot forward or pivot in your chair so your left knee can be bent and your right leg can stretch out a little bit. Again, your hands could be on something if you want to prop up a little bit. And you can start just inhaling and letting yourself sink into this as much as you'd like, and exhaling, straightening that front leg, maybe peeling your toes back. And it's kind of a slow, almost like a metronome of a pulse back and forth. Again, the image is that we're moving our energy now deep into the tap roots of the body, where energy is being conserved and stored and settled. And maybe the next time you straighten that left leg out, you could pause there, and you might even just swirl that ankle around a few times. And again, if you're sitting in a chair, you might just stretch that leg out and kind of swirl the ankle around a little bit. And be sure to swirl it the other way if that would feel nice. And then when you feel ready, kind of back into that lunge-like shape, you could walk your right hand over to the right. You could put your left hand on your left knee or thigh. Just kind of wrap your way in. And again, if you're doing this in a chair, what you might simply do is just twist your way toward the back of your chair. Arms can go up or down. Hand can wrap behind you or stay braced on your leg. Head and neck might swirl around a little bit. And again, when you feel ready, you can unwrap from all of that. Bring your hands down if you're on the floor. Step that front foot back, front knee back. You can just come to neutral in your chair. You might let your hips sway a little bit side to side. Again, your head could be like a heavy pendulum, rocking side to side. And then for those of you on the floor, we're going to get all the way down onto our backs. You might have your meditation cushion or a blanket or something nearby. If you're in a chair, you can just pivot to neutral in your chair and come to a seat that maybe allows you to open your shoulders a little bit. If you're on the ground, you could always have a blanket for your head, like just a little pillow or cushion for your head if you've got that nearby. If not, no worries. And we're going to just do the opposite of what we've just done in the fronts of our hips to let them gently open. So with your knees bent and your feet on the ground, you might lift your hips up and just slip your meditation cushion or a blanket or some soft supportive prop just right under your hips. It's not up in your low back. It's not creating a back bend. It's like a little shelf to simply rest your hips on. And then once you get that settled, and there's no right or wrong, just the right way for you, it could be that your body is interested in stretching your legs out. So you bring that little sense of opening right across the fronts of your hips, your low belly. Again, if you're sitting in a chair, then you can simply broaden through your collarbones and rest your way back. And we'll just very gently let our breath continue this pattern of moving down and in here for a few breaths. You can release all of your breath. You can empty it out. And then when you feel ready to inhale, imagine just about a third of your breath filling up in your chest. And then about another third of that breath spreading into your trunk and your torso. And the final amount of that breath spreading all the way into your belly, your hips, your low back. And as you exhale, emptying belly, torso, chest. Try that again. Inhaling chest, ribs, belly and low back. Exhale, releasing back and belly, ribs, chest. Once more like that. Inhaling into your chest, your ribs, your belly and low back. Exhale, emptying belly and low back, ribs, chest and shoulders. Let your breath fall back into a nice, easy, soothing, rhythmic pace. If you're on your back with support underneath your hips, you could, when you're ready, there's no rush, you could very gently lift your hips up and slip that support out of the way and lower your hips back down, kind of feel them settle, be held by the earth. From here, we'll move into that deep quiet, that stillness, and let ourselves sink into a full-bodied relaxation. You can do that lying on your back against the earth. You might put some support behind your knees. That same cushion could settle under your knees if you'd like. You could do this from a seat or from any other shape that feels like it would support you. There's no hurry to arrive there. Take your time. You may even decide to cover your body or your shoulders with a blanket. It's fine to close your eyes if that feels comfortable. And then allow your forehead to become tall and broad. You're smoothing the energy of your entire forehead from your brow line all the way up to your hairline. From the center of your forehead all the way out to your temples. And in response to that, allow your brain to drop back. If you're lying on the earth, you might even sense that your brain is resting back into the cradle of the back of your skull. We've been massaging the brain down and in. Now we can just let it rest. In response to that, maybe your eyes pull back into the backs of their socket. Perhaps your cheekbones soften. The hinge of your jaw releases. unnecessary effort. Perhaps you can soften even your inner ear. All of the sensory organs of your face to the root of your tongue softening. As the energy continues to seep down and in, you might trace release all the way down the back and the sides of your neck. Perhaps even swallow and release unnecessary effort in your throat. Energy continuing to move down and into your collarbones, tracing out to the heavy heads of your shoulders. Soaking down the bones of your arms all the way to your wrists, the backs of your hands, your palms, all the bones of your fingers. Can you perhaps even sense the entire cage of your ribs resting? The backs of your lungs could drop back and kind of rest into the bed that your rib cage provides. And even your heart then can rest back into your lungs. Your breath in response, perhaps slowing, deepening, smoothing out. Until even the well of your belly is just gently rising and falling. Energy continuing to move down and in. Your low back spreading. Entire bowl of your pelvis and nestled into the earth. The heavy bones of your legs kind of draping. muscles of your hips and your legs like a blanket resting over the bones. All unnecessary effort dissolving. Everything moving down and in. All the way to the bones of your heels. The tap roots of your feet to your toes. Allow yourself to simply abide here in this deep quiet. Just a few more minutes. You'll hear my voice again as we're ready to finish. Begin to gently attune to the physical form of your body being supported here. And begin to notice a little more consciously again the rise and fall of your breath moving in your body. And then allow yourself to naturally and gently respond. You might move a little bit. If you're on your back, you may at some point decide it feels nice to draw your knees in and let yourself rock a little bit. You can, if you'd like, perhaps make your way, if you're not already there, to a seat that can support you so that we can finish together. Moving slowly, plenty of time. As you arrive here again, with no judgment, no preconceived ideas, just noticing how your energy is now, where it's residing in your physical form, and how the cadence of your breath is supporting that form. Perhaps we can let our imagination drift back to those trees that we started with, and I'll finish with the words of the poet Mary Oliver, who always knows just what to say. Here is her poem, When I Am Among Trees. When I am among trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech, the oaks, and the pines, they give off such things of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches, and they call again. It's simple, they say, and you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy and to be filled with light and to shine. You might cup your hands in front of your heart and tuck in anything you've touched that you feel might support you and others as you now move into whatever's next for you. Happy solstice time, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Paige. Now, let's give back the practice, give back the merit of the practice. I need somebody to respond. I'm going to do the call. May the merit of this practice
May the merit of this practice
benefit all beings
benefit all beings
and bring peace.
and bring peace.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. I'm always happy to answer any questions or provide additional info if you want to reach out afterward. Thank you.